Man, the intensity. It's so unrelenting, this track. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Obsolete by Fear Factory. Now, Fear Factory is a really fun band that I'm just starting to dive into here on the channel. So far I've only heard their second studio album, Demanufacture, which had this amazing sort of techno-industrial dark vibe to it. Just a thoroughly entertaining album to listen to, so I figured I would check out their third studio album, Obsolete, that came out 3 years after Demanufacture, and yeah, just see what I'm going to think of this one. Alright, getting started is track 1, which is called Shock. Man, it was like an explosion all of a sudden just there. That intro built up so much suspense. I love it. The juxtaposition with these two different vocal styles always throws me with Fear Factory. It's fascinating. You've got these melodic vocals and then so much aggression coming through too. Well, that was track 1, Shock. Certainly getting this album started off with a punch of energy, that's for sure. It really impresses me that Fear Factory has one vocalist. It sounds like two different people, just the contrast of those two different vocal styles. And that one too, I loved the intro, how it had that sort of atmospheric, really cold sound to it, and they were building it up, and then all of a sudden just that lyric shock rips out, and it is almost like a shock to the system. Just so much energy coming at you. But I'm very excited to hear more off this album, that's for sure. So I'm going to continue on with track 2 called Edgecrusher.
Listener discretion is advised.
That bass, ooh, I love it. It's kind of a different tone for Fear Factory.
The government inflicts strain upon the structure of pressure. Break of the edge, crusher. Break of the edge, crusher.
Then all of that intensity just stops so suddenly. Man, his vocal delivery, he is not holding back, that's for sure. There's so much intensity to it. That was track 2, Edgecrusher. Just an immense delivery with that one in terms of the energy. Man, his vocals especially were just so driving and forceful. And that one too didn't utilize any of those more melodic, smooth vocals. That one definitely brought a harsher quality to their sound. Something almost nu metal about it. It kind of reminded me of the likes of like Static X or Disturbed along those lines. And those DJ turntable effects too were new. I don't think I remember hearing those on Demanufacture. Again, kind of bringing almost more of that nu metal style to it. But up next is track 3, which is called Smasher Devourer. So this one should be interesting. There's almost a staticky quality to the sound of these vocals. They're being distorted a little bit. Yeah, there's something so cold about this track. It kind of has this isolated quality to its sound. Man, I wasn't expecting them to stop the track so much like that and have it just be his vocals. That was kind of a cool little bridge that built up into this final explosion of sound. That was track 3, Smasher Devourer. I was pretty accurate with how that one delivered on the heaviness, that's for sure. Just such an intensity to it. It was like it was just hitting you over the head with all of this aggression. But then it would smooth out on those choruses and take on this almost angelic tone, something very choir-like about his voice. And I thought it was very fitting that he was saying salvation. It was almost like you had died and were rising up to heaven, like God was saving you from the depths of the underworld or something. But continuing on is track 4 called Securitron Police State 2000.
There is a fear factor in this division.
Those drums, man, they're so rapid. I love it. Those electronic effects just give their music such a futuristic tone. Again, it's adding to that cinematic quality. It's like this could be part of a sci-fi action movie soundtrack or something. Man, the intensity. It's so unrelenting, this track. Well, that was track 4, Securitron Police State 2000. I loved the contrast of that one, how it ended there so smooth, how he was saying no place to hide, and it was just kind of that one line spread out with its sound. And then he would bring so much harshness and aggression at other portions of that track, and the drums would add to that. And I loved how cinematic that one was too, especially how it started there with that intro. It almost sounded like an excerpt from a movie or something. But I'm going to continue with track 5, which is called Descent. I love this effect they're using. It's giving the song a staticky tone. Sound right there. It's almost like they've put a ton of distortion on the guitar or something. It's really cool. Okay, now it's like I'm floating in outer space or something. There's such a lightness to this part, and with that tonal effect they're using too, like that little electronic sound. That was track 5, Descent. I loved the use of all of the sound effects on that one. At times it felt like I was floating or something, just very electronic and futuristic with its tone. And the choruses on that one were actually like really beautifully melodic. And then you would have those more harsh tones come in at times too. Again, just the back and forth is so well done with Fear Factory. But up next is track 6, which is called High Tech Hate. Okay, it's building up the intensity. I love the back and forth with the vocals there. Again, those drums. They're bringing so much intensity to this album.
Coward!
That was track 6, High Tech Hate. Such an explosive song. Man, that one just got going and didn't stop. The drums on that one really stood out to me. I was also enjoying what they were doing with the vocals, not only the contrast between the more melodic ones and the sharper aggressive ones, but on the more aggressive vocals, how they would kind of have that call and response going on, like they would have the second vocal repeat the line a little bit more faintly in the background. All right, up next is track 7, which is Freedom or Fire. I love how streamlined this one is. There's such a smoothness to it, but then those drums are kind of breaking that smoothness up. Okay, that's a lot of vocal distortion going on. The song has a really strong groove that it's kind of falling into. Despite how brutally heavy it is, it almost has this danceability factor to it in a weird way. That was track 7, Freedom or Fire. The electronic tones were very strong on that one. They were using a lot of those really futuristic sounding things. And again, the drums really stood out to me on that one just because they provided such a sharp contrast from all of that sort of futuristic smoothness. It's like they broke that up and they added like these really rapid pops of sound and something almost ominous about that song too, kind of dark with its tone. But I'm going to continue on with track 8, which is the title track, Obsolete. Nothing is what it seems, and then something about man or machine. That was cool, how his vocal was drawn out, and it's like the longer it continued, it got more and more distorted and jumbled up almost with its sound. I love all of the sudden stops that this song is doing. It's like a moment of complete silence. That was track 8, Obsolete. That beginning part, that monologue of the person talking with all of that distortion, really put this album into perspective tonally. How it was basically talking about machine taking over man, like the eradication of mankind through machine. And I love that this album is really fusing those two qualities, because at times you have all of the distortion, the electronic stuff, and then at times it'll go into that more melodic, almost organic quality with its sound. And they go back and forth so much, and so I find it really fitting that they had that at the beginning of that track. All right, moving on is track 9 called Resurrection. Man, that was a great intro. How that song just so smoothly went right into this really aggressive part. I I love the guitar. Man, it has such a richness to its tone. Is that a violin that I'm hearing? There's some sort of stringed instrument that they're using. I loved how on that little pulled in part there was a second set of vocals that was kind of whispering everything he was saying. It was kind of adding this sort of echoey effect to it. That was track 9, Resurrection. A very different tone to that one. I loved how light and ethereal that one was. It definitely highlighted the more melodic side of his tone really, really well. I find it very fitting that that song is called Resurrection. It's like through this whole album, there's kind of been this battle, like this war raging. And it's like on that track, he finally reached that point of lightness that he's been longing for throughout the whole album. But I'm going to move on to the final song on Obsolete, which is track 10 called Timelessness. I love the tone of this one at the start here. There's something very somber about it, and you've got that violin yet again on this one too. Man, his voice there just had such a clearness to it, a really beautiful tone. That was track 10, Timelessness. Again, very tonally different. If you had told me with that first track, Shock, that this album would have ended like that, I would not have believed you. It was almost like you were being enveloped in sound. It was just so smooth with its delivery, almost like a cocoon wrapping around you. And yet there was almost something a little bit sinister about it too, just how it ended with those notes being played. Just a fascinating way to bring this album to a close, and I loved how surrounding it was with its sound. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to Obsolete, the third studio album from Fear Factory. I'm really amazed at how they can deliver on so much energy and aggression, and yet there's something really melodically beautiful about their style as well, and they just fuse the two brilliantly. This album was no exception. I loved Shock, the opening track. That one was just such a punch of energy to get the album underway. Also track 2, Edgecrusher, for the same reason. That one just had such an amazing explosive delivery to it. And track 5, Descent, had some really cool effects that they were using on that one. I loved all of the electronic stuff that they incorporated on this whole album. You all will definitely have to let me know down in the comments if there's another Fear Factory album that you want me to check out. I think Obsolete and Demanufacture were the two that were suggested the most, but let me know if there's more in their discography I should listen to. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.